In this tutorial, we are going to be making chore charts, and I'm really excited. If you guys have been watching my videos, you know that I have just been stalking my mailbox, waiting for my mailman to bring me a couple things, and he finally did. I have all of the supplies that I need for these little chore charts, and I'm super excited to show you guys my idea. I've been definitely working behind the scenes in Design Space on this for some time, and I just love all of the details that I have put together, so I'm really excited to now see them come full circle and see how everything is going to turn out together. Okay, so for this project, I'll tell you all the materials we're going to use, and always please utilize the description box below, because if I sneak any materials in or you want to know exactly which product I purchased, everything will be down below. It will just help because some of the sizes are particular for this particular project, so I just want to make sure you guys are utilizing that as well. So for this project, we are going to be using a picture frame, and then we are also going to be using a 12 by 12 metal sheet. And this project is going to be magnetic, so we are going to be using magnets. So I'm just giving a disclaimer that you will obviously want to just be aware that you are using magnets and that your children are as well. So this will just be a project that if you feel more comfortable, you might want to monitor your kids while you're doing so, or be placing the little magnets high up when they're not in use. So just a disclaimer that we are using magnets for this project. To continue on, we are also going to be using printable vinyl. This is the Cricut printable vinyl. I love using it. So we're going to be doing a little bit of print then cut today for this project. We are going to be using some permanent vinyl. So this is the Oracle 651 permanent vinyl. This is the white color. I don't have quite enough. I'm making 2 chore charts and I have quite enough for 1, but I don't have quite enough for 2. So I grabbed another permanent vinyl that I have on hand. This is the Paper Studio permanent vinyl, so I will be using that for my second chore chart. Now we are also going to need a squeegee or scraper tool, some scissors, and a weeding tool, and then some transfer tape. For additional materials, we're also going to be using some magnets, and I will link the exact size that I used down here, and then I will also be using some little wood chips or little wood circles. I believe these are 1 inch in size, so I will link the exact ones I use down in the description box below. I did a lot of measuring before I ordered all of my things, so let me do the hard work and just look at those links, because I have done all the measuring, and if you guys do the exact same size as me, then you can just follow that guide. Again, if you're going to though make anything bigger or smaller, then you'll want to order your own materials. Okay, so I think that is it in terms of our supplies. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. So let's go ahead and pop into Design Space. Again, the space that we are working with is going to be this metal frame right here. So we are going to be working with a 12 by 12 surface area. We're also going to be placing it within this frame, but I will show you guys all of the steps. So I want to double check here my area that I have to work with. So we have 11.5, because this is the area that the metal will be peeking out from. So we have 11.5 by 11.5 inside the frame that we will be working with usable space. So we will use that to get everything designed and sized, and then we will start putting this together. Okay, so here we are in Design Space. I'm actually re-recording this portion of the tutorial because I came down to edit this whole video for you guys and get it uploaded, and my computer deleted this Design Space video. So I actually cried really big tears over it because it was really disheartening to have all that work be deleted. So here we are, we're gonna re-record it, and so I just want to let you know that this is a re-record because I'm going to make sure that I try my best to get all my measurements that I did in the rest of the video accurate in this part. So, okay, so what I'm going to do now is, I was trying to drag these over. Let me move, I'm trying to move all of these. There we go. These are the icons, and I'm going to get to those in a minute, but first and foremost, I am going to replicate the metal board that we're going to be placing everything on. So that was 11.5 by 11.5, and that was the usable space that we have to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this that nice light gray color, and then I'm going to go to my images, and I'm going to search calendar, and I'm going to grab this one right here and select insert images, And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut off one of the columns because I only need 6 and this has 7. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take let me make this really big so we can see it. Okay, I am going to take a shape box, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a rectangle and use my slice tool. So if you're unfamiliar with the slice tool, what you're going to do is you're just going to place your shape over the section that you want to cut off or slice away. And you can then go ahead and click your shape and then your image. And once both of those are selected, your slice tool will become available. So then you can click slice. And then you can delete all of the unwanted images, and then you're left with your nice clean image on the side, and you've just removed that last column. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring my, let's see, I don't unlock it. I'm just going to bring this over here, and I'm just going to size this up right about there. Okay. Looks about right. Okay, and then I'm just going to make this a white because I'm going to be printing this out of the white vinyl. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some text up here. So I am going to say, let's see, text, and I'm going to say I'm going to do lowercase, my chore. Oops. Oh, now I'm all flustered because I'm having to redo this. Okay, so here we go, my chores, and the text I'm going to use, or the font, is going to be Kate's ABCs. It's my favorite. I recommend if you're making a chore chart for your kiddos that, especially if your kids are younger and they are still doing letter recognition, that you use a font with letters that are really accurate to, traditional ABCs. So in respect to that, I would just avoid like cursive or anything that, has letters that don't quite look like traditional ABC letters, if that makes sense, just to help them with reading. And I used to actually teach kindergarten, so it's just kind of one of those things where it's really helpful if you just keep the letters as traditional and less fancy as possible. So I like this because it's a really fun one, but all the letters are still really accurate. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup for just a second, because this Y for me is, for some reason, it seems like it's really high up and it bothers my eye. So I'm going to ungroup, and this allows me to have each letter, ungroup, come on. And then this allows me to have all of the letters individual. So I'm just going to grab the Y and drag it down just a little bit, and I think that looks much better. I think, okay, right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and grab those again and weld them together. That way they are all together again. And I will go ahead and make this white as well, because this is going to be out of the white vinyl. And then I'll place this here. And I will grab my chart and my words, and I am going to, let's see, I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. I'm going to go up to align, and I'm going to say center horizontally. That way my words are centered with my grid. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to text, and I'm just going to add Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I am going to bring them over here and make them, let's see, I'll make them this nice white as well. And then I will ungroup them and place them individually. Ooh, actually, let me go back. Before I ungroup, let's see, I'm just going to size these down just a little. Okay, and again, I am re-recording, so these measurements may be just a tad off from my final, because my final has my previous recording on there, but it's very similar. So, okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup, and now I'll take each individual letter and just place them here. So now if you can see, I'm actually doing chores Monday through Friday for my little ones. My little ones are still in toddlerhood, so we're just gonna start slow with this. So there we go. That looks great. Okay, so now I have 5 different chores that I'm going to be doing Monday through Friday. And of course, my little girls are really into helping out right now, and I've heard from my friends who have older kids that this wonderful age does go away and they don't really want to help once they get a little bit older. So I am definitely enjoying this age where they really enjoy helping out. So I've picked 5 things that they really enjoy helping out with, but that it will just start this idea of chores. So one thing is this little teddy bear, and I already preloaded all of these, and so I'll tell you where you can find them. Again, it's all in the images, but this one's called Teddy, and this one is going to resemble or represent, I suppose, helping cleaning the playroom. Okay, and then the next one, this one's called Baby Girl Socks Outline. This one is going to represent putting your dirty clothes away, and so putting them in the hamper every night. And then this one is called Baby Girl Dress. This one is going to represent picking out your clothes. We do picking out our clothes the night before. It's just really helpful. It makes the next morning go very smooth because clothes are already picked out and we just have to get dressed. The next one is called Baby Rubber Duck, and this one is just going to represent, all the bathroom things. So helping with bathing, going to potty, brushing teeth and flossing, all the whole nighttime routine. And then this one is called Silverware, and this is helping, with the setting of the table and the clearing of the table. So luckily they're in the mood to help me with that right now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make little icons for these, and these are going to be print then cut. So my first set is going to be, actually what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate these, because since I have 2 girls, I'm going to be making 2 different sets of these. So I'm going to be creating a nice blush set or pink set for my first daughter, who really likes pink, and while my second daughter also really likes pink, she also really likes purple, so I'm going to do a nice lavender color with this. So I'll show you how I change these colors. So for the bear, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the bow and the belly, and I'll go up here and I'm going to select the purple, but then I'm going to grab the advanced button and I am just going to drag that down a little bit because that purple is a little too bright for me, and I'm going to go right around here. Okay, so that is the color I'm going to go with. Then I'm just going to go ahead and switch all of these over to that nice lavender color. That will be really pretty. Okay. Now, if you ever are wondering about how your colors are going to print on your printer, you can always send them through as a test run on paper before sending them through with printable vinyl. It's just a way to save your materials, because if you end up putting your printable vinyl through and you don't like the color, or the color that your printer is determining it to be, then you've just wasted vinyl. If you did want to change that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some icons. So I'm going to grab, I'm going to make some circles they're going to go on those wooden circles that I've bought. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a circle, and I am my wooden circles that I'm going to be putting these on like a sticker. They're 1 inch by 1 inch. So I'm going to make this like 0.88. I think it was 0.88, just about. Okay, so these will fit really nicely, and again, the wood is going to go a little bit over, so that'll be 1 inch, so they'll fit really nicely within here. So now let me go ahead and make this part all big for you. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this white, and I am going to make myself, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So I'm going to duplicate, and then I'm just going to drag these over, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to create cut files and make them print and cut files. So let's go with the bear first. So I'm going to take the bear, size it down. I'm going to have to right click and say send to front, and I'll go ahead and just put this little bear here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both the bear and the circle, and I'm going to come up here to align, and I'm going to say center, and that just centers the bear perfectly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and say flatten, and now this little guy is now a print and cut. So this will print out on printable vinyl. That flatten button is what is going to take, where did it go? Oh, it's now going to say unflatten, but the flatten button is what takes it from a print or a cut file to a print and cut file. So I'll show you again with this one. So I'm going to size down this sock. Isn't this so cute? This sock is so darling. Send to front, and size it down just a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to align center. Okay, and that for some reason doesn't look quite centered to me, so I'm going to pull it over just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight and flatten, and now it's print and cut. Okay, so lather, rinse, repeat. Everything is just the same process. Bring this down, send to front, bring this over, maybe make it a tad better, bigger. Okay, highlight everything, align, center, and flatten. Okay, so I will go ahead and finish up the remaining icons, and then I'll show you how to create multiples of each. Okay, so now I have all of the little icons created, and I'm just going to bring these up here. So now I'm going to need five in total of each one. And so I'm just going to start duplicating so that the printer will print multiples of each one. So I'm just going to make 4 additional copies of each one just by going up to the duplicate. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll warn you, this just kind of makes it look like a mess over here, but the next step makes it all organized. So don't worry if don't worry about getting everything all like pulled away or organized over here, because it's not going to matter. So don't worry about that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll just continue creating duplicates. That way I have all that I need. Again, I'm doing it 5 days a week, so you will just duplicate for as many days or as many little tiles that you need. Okay, so now I have 5 of each and for each board, and I'm just gonna go ahead and make this a little bit smaller again. So we have a few things printing now. So we have our vinyl. Oh, you know what? I need to take one more step for you guys. So I love how everything is aligned here, and I want to make sure that everything prints together. So if I don't do anything as is, what's gonna happen is once I go to hit make it, let's see if it'll show me. It will. So on this one, it's going to just put all of the days of the week over here and then the chores over here. But I just spent all that time, I'm going to hit cancel. I just spent all of that time, let's see, where is everything? Come here. There it is. Goodness, my heart just stopped because I thought if it deletes everything again, I am going to have to cry again. Okay, no more tears today. So now what I want to do is I just spent all this time making sure this is centered and that all of the little days of the week are visually centered over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything. I'm going to select, let's see, my days of the week. You can just do it over here as well. And my grid and my chores words, and I'm just going to say weld. So now this is one file, and this is all going to cut in one cut. So now what I can do is I'm ready to start cutting and printing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this gray box. It was only being used for visual and sizing purposes. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and hit make it. Now I am making sure that my maker is selected. Because I am doing a very large project, then I will need to use my maker today. And because I'm doing printable vinyl or print and cut, then I need to use my maker because the maker supports printable vinyl. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit make it. And now, as you can see, it places all of our little tiles or icons, if you will, over here. So you can't see that they're circled, but they are circles because we flattened them with the circle background. So don't worry, they're going to cut like that. So now what we're going to do is we are going to have print then cut as our first one. And then our second one, see, now that we hit weld, it's all together just like this. And now what we're going to do is this part will be vinyl. We're going to hit continue, and we're going to locate the maker via Bluetooth. And it's going to prompt us to do our printable vinyl first. So what we're going to do is we are going to first be printing. So we are going to send to printer, and this will pop up. So we are using this is just my standard home printer. A lot of you ask about what printer I have, and I'm just using my standard printer at home. You don't have to use the exact same one as me. I believe it's been said that you just should use an ink printer or an ink-based printer and not a laser printer. So I think that is the main thing you want to be focused on when choosing a printer for a print and cut. So you can definitely do your research for the best printer to use, but I've been using this and it is working beautifully. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn bleed off. I usually add bleed to every single print and cut that I do, but since it's just going to be a white circle, then it's not going to matter. The cut is just going to be cutting white on white, so it's not going to matter. So the bleed is turned off, and I will then just hit print and send that to my printer. So I'll do that, but let me click out. When I go to upload this into my Cricut, for the printable vinyl, I'm going to be using the printable vinyl setting, and then once I'm done, I will do my vinyl, and I'm going to, I'm going to need 2 of these, so I'm gonna have to, let's see, edit, let's see, I'll just go back in and duplicate that twice. Yes, I want to cancel. I forgot I'm making 2 different I had 2 different chore charts today, so I forgot to duplicate my second one. So it'll pop back up here in just a sec. There it is. That always makes me nervous when it doesn't come up right away. And I'm just gonna hit duplicate, and now I have 2 of those. Okay, so back into Make It. We're all set. So this again will be that printable vinyl, and then when I do the second one, I will go back into Design Space and make sure that I change my material to vinyl, because it's already going to be on printable vinyl for doing this cut, which will go through the Cricut first. So make sure you just go back in and change it to vinyl. And that setting will be right here. So this is the one I will use for my vinyl cuts. Okay, so we're all set. We can just go ahead and get everything printed and cut and get everything applied and bring all of these little chore charts together. Okay, so later in the tutorial, I'll go ahead and bring my camera closer, but for now, since I'm still using a lot of variety of my desk, I'm going to keep it here. These are the icons that printed out. They look amazing. And now what we're going to do is we are just going to place them on our mat, and we're going to allow the Cricut to start cutting. So what we're going to do is we are going to grab our Cricut screen here, and we are going to again select printable vinyl. And what you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure your Cricut is calibrated if you haven't done so. Mine is. And so you are just going to place your printable vinyl right on the mat. Now make sure that you don't do anything prior to this. You're just going to put this whole sheet of paper on. You want to make sure that this black box and the black lines are still present. Do not cut those off. That is how the Cricut is going to read the design. Those are called registration lines, registration marks, and that is how the Cricut is going to know in reference to those lines where the images are and how to cut them. So leave that on. So now what we're going to do is just load this into our machine, and then we will allow it to cut. And what's going to do now is, since we made those little circles in Design Space, it's going to cut little circles out for us. So I'm using default pressure, and I am just going to have it cut, and we can watch it get going. So now it's just going through and scanning all of the registration marks before it will do its cut. Again, that just lets the Cricut know where in reference to those lines all of the images are and where it can cut. Okay, so now that it's cutting all those little circles, it's doing a great job. I'm going to go ahead and just prep the frame. So I'm going to just go ahead and turn this around, and I will go ahead and pop out the glass and the mat and place my metal sheet inside. I'm just going to set these to the side and place this little thin sheet inside, just like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the other materials just right back in the back. That way in the future, if I decide that this is no longer going to be a chore chart, I still have all of my materials ready to go. That way I can make this a picture frame or do something different with it. So I just like to kind of keep my materials all still in there. That way I know where they are. And okay, and that one's done cutting just in time. So now if I turn this over, we just have a nice metal board. So that looks really, really nice. Okay, so now let's unload. Let's set this to the side. Okay, so we'll unload our mat. That looks so awesome. And the colors are perfect. Okay. If you guys are ever unsure about the colors you're using, you can always test your colors by just printing your design on regular paper. And then if you like what you see, then you can then print it on the vinyl. So that's just really a helpful tip if you want to test some colors out and see how they're going to print out. Okay, so I'm going to lay this to the side, and I'm just going to start cutting my individual chore chart grids. So this first one is going to go down. Again, this is the Oracle 651 permanent vinyl, and the other one is going to be the Paper Studio one, because I got down here today to craft and I didn't have quite enough vinyl. I prefer the Oracle just because it's such a dream to work with, but the Paper Studio works as well, so we'll do that. Okay. So now again, we are going to go into Design Space and we are going to remove the printable vinyl setting and add the vinyl setting. It's on default pressure, and we'll get this cutting. Okay, so I'm just taking a little cotton swab with some rubbing alcohol on it, and I'm just going to rub the surface. It's just going to get all of the finger marks that I had, put on there during assembly, and, any shipping and handling germs or dust, everything will get off. And this will just help the vinyl stick better when it has a nice clean surface. So that's all ready to go. Okay, so now I'm just going to start weeding this first one while the second one is cutting. And I am just going to poke the side and just start pulling gently. That way I don't rip up any parts of my design that I want to keep on there. Being careful around the letters. There we go. Okay. Woo! Okay, so I'm just going to grab this O and this E. Okay, and then very carefully, I'm going to weed out this left-hand column where all of the days of the week are. Okay. So now if you guys notice, if you watched a previous video of mine, I did a glass calendar, which turned out so awesome. I'm so happy with that still. Every time I look at that, it just makes me so happy. I'm really excited how I'll link it in case you guys missed it. I'll link it right here. But I bring that up because I used the same file, the grid file, for my calendar. And so that just shows you that, you can use some of these designs for a variety of things. And there's just so many possibilities. Plus you can, like I demonstrated, you can slice off what you don't need and just kind of tailor it to fit your exact purposes. It'd be awesome. Okay, so we're just about done weeding this, and then we will apply our transfer tape and start seeing this project come to life. Like I said, I've been working on this project for a while now, kind of getting it all designed and thinking of the chores that I want the girls to. These are actually chores that they're already doing. We just haven't really labeled them chores. We're just saying, how they're helping mommy and helping daddy. So this will be really exciting to just bring a little bit of additional encouragement with the chore chart. They think that's so fun. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab some of my transfer tape. Now if you'll notice, it's not going to fit all over the whole thing, but this transfer tape actually layers very well. So I'm just going to first start with the top and lay that down. Okay. Perfect. And then I can just cut what I don't use there. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and apply the second one right down the bottom. and just allow it to overlap a little bit. That was perfect. And again, cut off the extra. Okay, perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'll just take my scraper squeegee and get everything pressed down. This is going to help that vinyl transfer over to the tape so that we can pull it off of that blue carrier sheet and then place it onto our metal board. Okay. I like this idea as well because if you decide as they grow that you want to change out the chores, then you've already have the board already, and all you have to do is just change out the little print and cut items. Like if you notice that they're taking on more responsibility, and can just tailor it as they grow and personalize it. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to cut off my extra transfer tape, and I'm doing this because I think it really helps with the centering. My eye tends to center the transfer tape over the design, so knowing that about myself, I always make my transfer tape really even, and that will just help me personally. Okay, this looks really good. I'm so excited to see how this turns out. Plus, it's nice to know that we can start using this today. Just bring a little fun to all this at-home business. Ah! Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my board and then we will get this going. Actually, let's pull this off. Get this all ready. Keep your weeding tool handy just in case, and just take your time and go nice and slow. Pull off really nice. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so now I have my board all ready. It's prepped again, and we're ready to get this all laid down. This is the part where I hold my breath and get nervous. But just take your time. That looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to just start rubbing down that center. Okay, and then I'll just go out from the middle to the edge. This just helps make sure there's no bubbles or anything. Okay, now I'll grab my squeegee and just really press down. So this part just also helps to make sure all of the pieces adhere to the metal, but it also just helps to make sure that there's no bubbles that, form underneath the vinyl. So just take your time and scrape away. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab a corner and just start peeling off the transfer tape. It's looking really good. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, now if you do notice any bubbles, you can either use your fingernail and just kind of rub them out. You can grab your squeegee tool or scraping tool, whatever you have, and then just kind of push them towards the edge and they'll just come right out. I think that's it. Did I only have a couple? That's pretty good. Okay. Perfect. Oh, I love it. I love how this looks. Okay, I'm going to zoom in now and I will show you how we're going to get all of the little pieces put together, and then we will start getting them on the board and just see how this will all look in the end. So next I'm going to put together the little pieces that are going to go on the board. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel up this little piece just like a sticker would, and then I'm just going to go ahead and place it right over, centering the best that I can. and then rub it on and just stick it just like that. So it turned out really cute. And then after I do that, what I'll do is I will just take some hot glue and add a little hot glue to my magnet, just like that, and place it right over. So now we are given a little magnet. Okay, so then they just stick right on, or magnetize right onto the chore chart. So I'm going to do a couple more. You guys will get the hang of what I'm doing, and you're just going to carefully peel like a sticker, placing it right over the little wood piece. Perfect. Apply a little glue to the back and place your magnet. And just press and hold for a sec. Perfect. And then to keep them organized, I'm just going to go ahead and place them all on the chart as I go. That way I can keep track and make sure that I also have enough pieces. Okay, so just placing the final two, and I have them all organized. That way I make sure that I have enough pieces. I found it easiest to do it that way, to just get them all assembled and put them in their spots. That way I made sure, because I think I got a little duplicate happy, and I have an extra sock and an extra shirt. So no worries, I'd rather have too many than not enough, but this just helped me make sure that I had enough pieces of each one. So I'd recommend that little step, but it turned out really cute. All right, I'm gonna start working on the second one. Okay, so I got them both done. I love how the colors turned out. I think they turned out really, really pretty, and I think the girls are gonna love them. So again, just be aware that you are using magnets and that the little pieces are a little smaller in nature, so you'll just want to make sure that you are, with your child when you're using these. Ours are going to be actually placed higher up on the wall. That way we can go add the pieces together. It also just creates a little bit of dialogue with why we're adding the pieces and how they were helping. So that's one of the things that we are going to add to our routine. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I had a lot of fun making it. I wanted to mention that it probably took me about 2 hours to film this and to construct them. So, and then I think it took me probably around like 30 minutes-ish in Design Space designing. So I would probably plan, if you're just doing one, I would plan for about 90 minutes. So probably about an hour and a half to create this project. So just giving you an idea, but that's 90 minutes well spent. It's some time for yourself. So anyway, I really love how these turned out. I think it's going to be really, really fun. And then I'm just going to place these little pieces probably in a mason jar, high up, of course, when they are not being placed on the board. I think it's just going to be a really fun addition to our little daily routine. So if you enjoyed this, please be sure to give me a thumbs up, and be sure you are all subscribed so you see what is going to be happening on my craft table next when I upload the next video. All right, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful weekend.